Chapter 27. Chapters on slaughtering. Chapter 1. Akika. It was narrated that Kurs said, I heard the prophet say, on behalf of a boy, 2 sheep of equal age, and on behalf of a girl, 1 sheep. Great Hassan. It was narrated that Aisha said, the Messenger of Allah commanded us to sacrifice 2 sheep for a boy's akika and 1 sheep for a girl. Great Hassan. It was narrated from Salman bin Amir that he heard the Prophet say, for a boy there should be an akika, so shed blood for him and remove the harm from him. Great Sahih. Great Sahih. It was narrated from Samura that the Prophet said, every boy is mortgaged by his akika, so slaughter for him on the 7th day and shave his head and name him. Great Hassan. Yazid bin Abdul Musani narrated that the Prophet said, offer an akika for a boy, but do not smear his head with blood. Great Hassan. Chapter 2. The Farah and the Atira. It was narrated that Nubaisha said, a man called the Messenger of Allah and said, O Messenger of Allah, we used to sacrifice the Atira during the ignorance days in Rajab. What do you command us to do? He said, sacrifice to Allah whatever month it is. Do good for the sake of Allah and feed the poor. They said, O Messenger of Allah, we used to sacrifice the Farah during the ignorance days. What do you command us to do? He said, for every Saima, flock of grazing animals, feed their firstborn as you feed the rest of your flock until it reaches an age where it could be used to carry loads. Then sacrifice it and give its meat in charity. I think, he said to the wayfarer, for that is good. Great Sahih. It was narrated from Abu Huraira that the Prophet said, there is no Farah and no Atira. Great Sahih. It was narrated from Muhammad bin Abu Umar Adani that the Prophet said, there is no Farah and no Atira. Chapter 3. If you slaughter, then slaughter well. It was narrated from Shaddad bin Avs that the Messenger of Allah said, Allah has prescribed al-Isan, proficiency, in all things. So if you kill, then kill well, and if you slaughter, then slaughter well. Let one of you sharpen his blade and spare suffering to the animal he slaughters. Great Sahih. It was narrated that Abu Sa'id al-Khudri said, the Prophet passed by a man who was dragging a sheep by its ear. He said, leave its ear alone and hold it by the sides of its neck. Great Da'if. It was narrated that Abdullah bin Umar said, the Messenger of Allah commanded that the blade should be sharpened and hidden from the animals, and he said, when one of you slaughters, let him do it quickly. Another chain reports the same. Great Da'if. Chapter 4. Mentioning the name of Allah when slaughtering. It was narrated from Ibn Abbas, and certainly the shayateen, devils, do inspire their friends from mankind. 621. He said, they used to say, whatever the name of Allah has been mentioned over, do not eat it, and whatever the name of Allah has not been mentioned over, eat it. Then Allah said, eat not of that over which Allah's name has not been pronounced. 621. Great Da'if. It was narrated from Aisha, the mother of the believers, that some people said, O Messenger of Allah, some people bring us meat and we do not know whether the name of Allah has been mentioned over it or not. He said, say Bismillah and eat. They were new in Islam. Great Sahih. Chapter 5. With what animals may be slaughtered? It was narrated that Muhammad bin Saifi said, I slaughtered 2 rabbits with a sharp-edged stone and brought them to the Prophet, and he told me to eat them. Great Hassan. It was narrated from Said bin Thabit that a wolf bit a sheep, and they slaughtered it with a sharp-edged stone, and the Messenger of Allah allowed them to eat it. Great Hassan. It was narrated that Adi bin Hatim said, I said, O Messenger of Allah, we hunt game, but we cannot find anything but the sharp edge of a stone or stick with which to slaughter it. He said, cause the blood to flow with whatever you want, and mention the name of Allah over it. Great Hassan. It was narrated that Rafi bin Khadij said, we were with the Prophet on a journey, and I said, O Messenger of Allah, we are sometimes on military campaigns, and we have no knife with us. He said, use whatever causes the blood to flow, mention the name of Allah, and eat, but do not use teeth or nails, for the tooth is a bone, and the nail is the knife of the Ethiopians. Great Sahih. Chapter 6. Skinning the slaughtered animals. It was narrated from Abu Sa'id al-Khudri that the Messenger of Allah passed by a boy who was skinning a sheep. The Messenger of Allah said to him, step aside and I will show you how. The Messenger of Allah put his hand between the skin and the flesh and thrust his arm in until it disappeared up to the armpit, and said, O boy, this is how you skin it. Then he went and led the people in prayer and did not perform wudu. Great Sahih. Chapter 7. Prohibition of slaughtering lactating animals. It was narrated from Abu Huraira that the Messenger of Allah came to a man from among the Ansar who had picked up a knife to slaughter an animal for the Messenger of Allah. The Messenger of Allah said to him, avoid those that are lactating, yet those from which milk is received. Great Sahih. Abu Huraira narrated that Abu Bakr bin Abu Kuhafa narrated that the Messenger of Allah said to him and to Umar, let us go out to Waqifi. He said, so we went out in the moonlight until we came to the garden, and he, the owner of the garden, said, welcome. Then he took up the knife and went among the sheep to choose one for slaughter. And the Messenger of Allah said, avoid those that are lactating. Great Daif. Chapter 8. An animal slaughtered by a woman. It was narrated from a son of Ka'b bin Malik from his father that a woman slaughtered a sheep with a stone, and that was mentioned to the Messenger of Allah, but he did not see anything wrong with that. Great Sahih. Chapter 9. Killing runaway animals. It was narrated that Rafi bin Khadij said, we were with the Prophet on a journey, and a camel ran away. A man shot an arrow at it, and the Prophet said, it has the inclination to run away like a wild animal. If this happens to any of you, do likewise. Great Sahih. It was narrated from Abu Ushara that his father said, I said, O Messenger of Allah, should slaughtering only be done in the throat or upper chest? He said, if you stab it in the thigh, that will suffice you. Great Daif. Chapter 10. Prohibition of tying up animals and killing them, and mutilation. It was narrated that Abu Sa'id al-Khudri said, the Messenger of Allah forbade mutilating animals. Great Daif. It was narrated that Anas bin Malik said, the Messenger of Allah forbade tying up animals. Great Sahih. It was narrated from Ibn Abbas that the Messenger of Allah said, do not take anything with a soul as a target. Great Sahih. Jabir bin Abdullah said, The Messenger of Allah forbade killing any animal when it is tied up for use as a target. Great Sahih. Chapter 11. The prohibition of the meat of Jalala. It was narrated that Ibn Umar said, "The Messenger of Allah forbade the meat and milk of Al-Jalala." Great Hassan. Chapter 12. Horse meat. It was narrated that Asma bint Abu Bakr said, "We slaughtered a horse and ate its meat during the time of the Messenger of Allah." Great Sahih. It was narrated from Abu Subayr that he heard Jabir bin Abdullah say, "At the time of Khaybar, we ate horses and wild donkeys." Great Sahih. Chapter 13. The flesh of domesticated donkeys. It was narrated that Abu Ishaq Shaybani said, "I asked Abdullah bin Abu Awfa about the flesh of domesticated donkeys, and he said, we were starving on the day of Khaybar. When we were with the Prophet, the people had gotten some donkeys as spoils of war on the way out from Al-Madinah, so we slaughtered them, and our cooking pots were boiling when the caller of the Messenger of Allah cried out, telling us to overturn out pots and not to eat anything of the flesh of donkeys. So we overturned them. I said to Abdullah bin Abu Awfa, was it made unlawful? He said, we think that the Messenger of Allah forbade it altogether because it eats excrement. Great Sahih. It was narrated from Miktam bin Madikarib al-Kindi that the Messenger of Allah forbade several things until he mentioned the meat of domesticated donkeys. Great Hassan. It was narrated that Bara bin Asib said, the Messenger of Allah commanded us to throw away the meat of domesticated donkeys, raw or cooked. Then he did not say anything to us about it after that. Great Sahih. It was narrated that Salama bin Aqwa said, we went out with the Messenger of Allah on the campaign of Khaybar, and in the evening the people lit their fires. The Prophet said, what are you cooking? They said, the meat of domesticated donkeys. He said, throw out what is in them, the pots, and break them. A man said, or can we throw out what is in them and wash them? The Prophet said, or do that. Great Sahih. It was narrated from Anas bin Malik that the caller of the Prophet cried out, Allah and His Messenger forbid you to eat the flesh of domesticated donkeys, for it is filthy. Great Sahih. Chapter 14. The meat of mules. It was narrated that Atta narrated that Jabir bin Abdullah said, we used to eat the meat of horses. I said, and mules. He said, no. Great Sahih. It was narrated that Khalid bin Walid said, the Messenger of Allah forbade the flesh of horses, mules and donkeys. Great Daif. Chapter 15. The fetus is considered legally slaughtered with the legal slaughtering of its mother. It was narrated that Abu Sa'id said, we asked the Messenger of Allah about the fetus. He said, eat it if you wish, for it is considered legally slaughtered with the slaughtering of its mother. Great Sahih.